Here we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. Hello, bonjour à tous. Welcome to our community connection for Monday, March 27, 2023. Thank you for adjusting your schedule. We originally had this scheduled last week, and for some it was a holiday. So we did adjust it off to this week. So good morning and welcome to everyone. My name is Carol Spicer, and I'm the owner of Spicer Facilitation and Learning. And this is one of my favorite events to do. It's my way to give back to the community that supports me. Probably about 80% of my clients are in the not-for-profit sector, and I love working with each and every group. They have some different nuances that they work through, and yet there's still so many similarities. And so I find this a really nice opportunity to bring people together that work in this sector and support this sector and have some of the same challenges and successes. And so really that is what the community connection is all about. It is your community and an opportunity to share a bit about who you are and what's going on in your world. So I'm really pleased to welcome today Quinn Jesso, who, when I first met her, introduced herself with the pronouns of she, her, and her majesty. So I've always been calling her Her Majesty ever since. So I'm really pleased to welcome Quinn, who is our guest speaker today. Quinn and I have been chatting. She's attended previous sessions of mine, and we've been chatting about volunteer burnout, not-for-profit. I know for me, I've just spent the entire weekend working on a slideshow for our first AGM for a not-for-profit that's newly incorporated. So it becomes your passion. They're passion projects. We can sometimes get a little bit overwhelmed when we're in our passion, and also when we're going looking for volunteers. And I think also several of the folks here are also connected to the entrepreneur ecosystem and certainly managing our own businesses. Our mental health is so very, very important. So Quinn offered to do a session for us today. I think because we have a fairly small group this morning, Quinn, if it's all right, I'm going to ask folks to introduce themselves to you first. So that way you kind of have a sense of who we've got here on the call with us. Some you've met, I know, over time, but others that are here may not know each other. And so first off, as I say, owner of Spicer Facilitation, joining you from Pasadena, which I will take a moment to acknowledge is in the unceded territory of the ancient Beothuk. And I acknowledge with respect the diverse cultures and traditions of all Indigenous people, and those in our province specifically, the Innu, the Inuit, the Mi'kmaq, the Beothuk, the Southern Labrador Inuit. And I asked that you just think about where you're joining us from today. Maybe I'll jump to Terry Lynn because we just talked about land, and Terry Lynn is very connected to the land. So Terry Lynn, if you want to say a quick word of welcome and let folks know who you are. On mute.
Every time. Good morning, everybody. I'm Terry Lynn Robbins, as Carol said, and I am a farmer. My husband and I own Robbins Family Farm here in Deer Lake. And I guess if I'm putting on my community hat, I'm also the Secretary Treasurer with the Newfoundland and Labrador Federation of Agriculture. And this is a topic today that's near and dear to my heart because mental health awareness in the agriculture industry is incredibly important. And yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I know, Terry Lynn, your organization has been working very hard to acknowledge the stresses that farmers face, not necessarily unlike others, but unique in the industry that you're in, adds some extra layers. So thank you for joining us today.
Suicide is very prominent in the agriculture industry, which is a sad statement to have to make.
Absolutely. Richard, I'm going to move up the Northern Peninsula from Deer Lake and up to you.
Good day. I'm Richard May with CDBC Nortip. We serve the Great Northern Peninsula. Terry Lynn mentioned about agriculture, and that's certainly a sector that we're very much interested in supporting. We've done a fair bit over the past 10 years. I'd love to be able to do more. The The natural resource sectors, obviously, they got the best bang for the buck. They're going to be around forever as long as we look after Earth well enough to allow them to be. But that's where things have to be for economic stability and growth.
Absolutely. Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Do you have anybody with you there in the background, Richard, that's listening in?
Yes, Margaret Keynes and Bobby Rumble joined us.
Excellent. Welcome, ladies.
Thanks, Carol. It's nice to be a part of your conversation again.
Yes, thank you so much. You guys are some big supporters of mine. I really appreciate you always joining. All right, let me come back down to Deer Lake. We'll go to Carm.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm here from Deer Lake. I own Karma Yoga with Carmelita Morgan and offer classes and different events all over the West Coast, some on the East Coast. And I'm also a part of the newly formed Health and Wellness Committee for the town of Deer Lake. And we're working on a lot of really exciting initiatives to improve mental health and our physical health and our longevity in our community. And every meeting I go to, we have new and exciting ideas. So I'm really glad to be a part of that, and thought I'd stop in here today and see what I can offer as well as what I can learn.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome. And Carmelita shared just as she came on a big announcement. One of the new medical centers that's been announced by government was announced this morning in Deer Lake. So nice to know there's a new center coming in our region to replace the aging clinic that's up there right now. Going to swing back down through to Pasadena. Sharon, you're up, and then Andrea, I'll come to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm in Pasadena. I own and operate Siva Meditation. And I'm thrilled, like I always am, to be part of this community connection anytime we can get together and learn from each other. So I own and operate a meditation business. I've been in operation since 2015. And you just touched on the suicide information there. And yes, it is a sad reality. I did stats there, and it says 4,500 people a year in Canada die from suicide, and 200 people a day attempt suicide. So my business is health and wellness. It's mental health, and meditation moves through a lot of the unworthiness and the separateness that we tend to feel, and brings us all together again as one. I'm doing some interesting work with the children, 4-year-olds in Cornerbrook, little angels. So we're trying to get them young, hey? So they know their self-worth and they know they're connected to some a great support system. And we all work together to support each other. And thanks, Carol, for offering this again.
That's
Welcome,
fabulous.
everybody.
Thank you, Sharon. I think it's so great that you are starting the children so young, and you think about those of us that adults that are trying to break those thought patterns that are 40, 50, 60 years old, that, how do you break those? And had we started young enough to change those thought patterns to be positive, and self-worth is so important. So very important. Excellent. Thank you, Sharon. Andrea, welcome to your first session with me.
Thank you. So I'm Andrea. I'm the new owner of Gifts of Joy in Pasadena. I do have a background with community studies is what I majored in school. My other job is actually a child and youth care worker. So mental health is something I see day in and day out. I deal with kids that come from extreme trauma, and it's hard. It's hard working through that. And co-regulation is huge with our kids, and consistency. But mental health is such a big part of everyone's life right now, and it affects a lot of people. So it's good that CMHI are involved with this. And yeah, there's lots of supports out there, but no doubt there needs to be more.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome.
And Hillary, we're just doing intros as you slipped in.
Excellent. I'm not sure if you got my email, but me and Microsoft Teams have been in a 15-minute long battle, but I'm finally in. I'm here. So I apologize for my delay.
That's okay.
Are we just doing introductions?
We are, yep.
Excellent. So my name's Hillary. Right now I'm working with the Study and Stay NL program. We work with international students who are committed to settling in the province, so helping them basically with that transition as they graduate and try and find their first professional work experience in Canada. So we do a lot of different sessions with them about like career skills, entrepreneur skills, anything to do with that. But we also try and place a pretty big importance on what are the other areas people need to know to be able to settle here comfortably. So like Canadian culture, local culture in Newfoundland. And one component of that is mental health that we've been trying to focus on, how to manage that, what mental health challenges you might experience as a newcomer that like the average domestic student might not, and just how mental health can be impacted as you go through a transitional phase. So I'm really excited to hear the conversation today.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome. I'm a mentor in Hillary's program, and I think the first year, pretty much the entire season that I spent with my international student was on mental health. You had come from Azerbaijan to Corner Brook, so city of millions and millions of people, to a very small community in COVID. So he's isolated in a home. He's used to busy. He's used to city. And it was interesting that, I anticipated we'd be talking about, writing your resume and all those types of things. And it was more about mental health and mental wellness for that shock of transition that he had made. So I could definitely see that, and glad to hear there's an importance there. All right, Her Majesty, I think that's run us through everyone. So if you want to take control and then do your bit, let folks know who you are, and we can kick it off.
Perfect. So I will share off my presentation here. And please let me know if you all see it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So some of these slides will be for those who work in like a more business related environment, but at the end of the day, I think the knowledge can be taken to everything, not just for somebody who works in enter 3-letter acronym here. So hopefully we get a little good information from this for everybody. And if there's any questions at all, and if we do run out of time, by all means, send me an email and I will answer any question you have, especially if you're looking for information. So a quick introduction from myself. Again, my name is Quinn Jesso. I'm the Mental Health Promotions Coordinator with the Community Mental Health Initiative here in Corner Brook. And as Carol so nicely put, my pronouns are she, her, or your majesty, and I will respond to all three. So there is a lot of slides, but I'll skip the ones that are more not as much information for what our information we're looking for, but hopefully everybody pulls at least one good positive thing out of this today. So we're going to be talking about work-life balance and burnout. And the first little bit we're going to talk about is just what is CMHI. So CMHI is a charitable organization we established to address the mental health needs in the Corner Brook and Bay of Islands and Deer Lake. It's a combination of agencies, community groups, and consumers working together to promote quality mental health services. We address individuals, family, and community issues through partnership, collaboration, and cooperation. Carol is one of many community partners that we work with throughout the calendar years to try to just improve people's lives one day at a time. At the end of the day, I don't think there's much more we can ask for than that. So our mission is we are committed to working with and on behalf of the whole community, providing individuals with the opportunity to develop in responsible and beneficial ways and to identify mental health needs, promoting the general well-being of all persons of all ages through the integration of services and a partnership of collaboration and cooperation. Whole lot of words and sentences that mean we're just trying to get people to interconnect and realize that we are all stardust on this blue marble going through space. The least we can do is get along. I use humor for everything, so if your sides are hurting by the time this session is done, I'm doing my job well. So some of our goals, we do work together for improved mental health services to provide those quality mental health services through community-based model of service delivery, and to provide information and recommendations regarding mental health to social, governmental, and other agencies or groups. We try to improve the access and delivery of services in response to the needs of the community and plan to coordinate mental health programs and services to initiate special projects in response to needs as they arise. We do everything from facilitating workshops and public information sessions such as this. We do public awareness through media articles and various awareness activities such as our mental health symposium that we did back in January for Bell Let's Talk. We do develop presentations for various community groups, basically trying to get the information out there to anybody and anybody who listen. I don't care where you are from, race, color, creed, nationality, gender orientation, my guys, gals, non-binary pals. I will talk to anybody, anytime, any place, especially if it means at the end of the day, their life is a little bit better. And that's all we could really ask for. So we organize those activities at schools to educate youth on mental health issues, ongoing support for community groups, work well, live well. So what is mental health? So mental health.
Quinn, can I just pop in for a second? I know that Carmelita is involved with a wellness day up in Deer Lake. Are you folks connected to that at all? Coming
If
up?
not, I'm sure I've been, there's a lot of people and I'm horrible with names. I've recognized email addresses at this point. If not, by all means, Carmela, reach out to me. And if I can be of any assistance at all, I will do what I can.
Yeah, it's the high school, I think. Is it, Carm? Yeah, they're doing a wellness day where kids are going to move all day through different sessions. And I know Carmelita's providing some support.
Yeah, it's the junior high, Xavier Junior High. And yeah, it's a full day of wellness activities and presentations and self-care. I think it's going to be a fantastic day. I think the first of its kind in Deer Lake. So yeah, I'll send you the contact information, Quinn, on that.
Sounds good to me. Always looking to make new partnerships.
Yes. Okay, perfect. I will do that.
Thanks. I just wanted to do that while I was thinking of it.
Not a problem. So again, like, what is mental health? Mental health means you're striking that balance in all aspects of your life: social, physical, spiritual, economic, and mental. So your personal balance will be unique, and your challenges are going to be just to try to stay healthy by keeping that balance. So the best way to find that balance is to invest in the things that matter to you most. So it's your family, it's your friends, it's community, and yourself. Got to love yourself first. It's kind of hard to spread love if you don't care about yourself first. Cultivating and supportive relationships in all areas of your life is key to handling the challenges and faces and hurdles that we have coming our way. There are a lot of times when I've always said it basically comes down to a connect four. You need, your inner child, you need your family, you need your mental health, and you need just overall love. If you can connect all four of these aspects to your life will get better and you will be able to handle whatever hardships life throw your way. So, work-life balance, what is it? So there are often two main aspects associated with work-life balance: the lack of time and feeling of overwhelming. So balance is not necessarily about splitting that time equally, because you're going to have that work-life conflict. So the first aspect is going to be lack of time and scheduling conflicts, and the other is going to be feeling overwhelmed or overloaded by the stress and the pressure of your multiple roles. So just using my life for an example, I have my normal day-to-day job. I also look after my partner who's injured, and I'm also part of many other community groups within the Corner Brook and Bay of Islands area, and trying to delegate time as it comes up so that way I can get my work done, but I don't burn out at the end. And it's not always a success. There are going to be days when I feel very overwhelmed, but that's when you really got to start taking some of your own personal time, whether it be go for a walk, go for a hike, jump on Fortnite, play some rounds, whatever you need to do for your mental health, so that way you're not pouring from an empty cup. Make sense, folks? So that balance, it's an individual feels fulfilled with the content in both aspects of that life. That work-life conflict, that occurs when the overall demand of the work and the personal roles are incompatible in some respect, making the participation for those roles a lot harder to do. So for a person who maybe looking after an elderly parent, and you're working a 9 to 5 job, so you don't have a whole lot of in between. And if something happens at work, your time is put there, but you're also looking after somebody at home. If something goes there, it's really trying to find that balance amongst everything that's going on in your life right now. And it's not always easy. I struggle with it from day to day, but taking the time to yourself, to center yourself, to breathe and figure out, what can I do right now? Don't worry about down the way. Don't worry about next week. What can I do right now? Take that one task, complete that task, then move on to the next task. Next task. If you take on too much at one time, you're going to burn out, and nobody wants anybody to go through that.
And I think, Quinn, for everyone on this call, we all have the volunteer roles that we do as well, right? These folks are all in the not-for-profit sector. So they're sitting on a board, or they're working on a community event, or they're planning. So you've got your day, your home, and then that volunteer adds in there as well.
And I think it also comes down to, a lot of people are very much yes people, and we don't like saying no because we know there's so many gaps out there and we're trying to fill them all. But at the end of the day, you cannot pour from an empty glass. You need to have that time for yourself. We all struggle, I think, with, at the end of the day, we leave work with work. And then when we go home, that's our home life, and trying not to let it all pour together. COVID kind of ruined us all for it, because our work life and our personal life all kind of blended together, because we were like this. We were in front of cameras, we were in front of computers at home, some of us in our living rooms or our bedrooms. So we never got that separation. And that separation's important. We need to have that in order for our brains to realize that when we're chilling out in our bathrobe, in our bedrooms, this is not the time to be thinking about work. This is the time for us to be de-stressing from the day, try to breathe, and just let the day is done. We're home to relax now. And a lot of us really struggle with that, me included. But it does take time. Some days are good and some days are bad, but it's really striving to make those good days count. So the Health Canada has identified 4 broad categories associated with work-life balance. So you got your role overload, your work to family interference, your family to work interference, and your caregiver strain. So your role overload, this forms of a work-life conflict when the total demands of time and energy are associated with the prescribed activities of way too many roles, great to perform the roles adequately or comfortably. So your work to family interference, that's the type of role conflict occurs when work demands and responsibilities make it way too difficult to do, like, fulfill those family role responsibilities. So you're working longer hours in like some type of paid work, but now you're missing out on your kids' sporting events, or you're missing out on potential family vacations or family get-togethers. We need that in our life. We need that positive social interaction. The family to work interference is basically the exact opposite. It's when the demands of the family or those responsibilities make it very difficult to fulfill our work role responsibilities. So a child illness prevents us from attending work, or conflict at the home makes concentration at work difficult. And then we've got the one that we all really, really struggle with, I think, is that caregiver strain. Because at the end of the day, I think almost everybody is a caregiver in some regards at this point. So that's the strain. It's multidimensional. It's defined in terms of the burden that a caregiver's day-to-day lives, which can be attributed to the need to provide care or assistance to somebody who needs it. If we're working in a mental health organization, it's the care that you're giving to people you're dealing with every day. If you're working at a care facility for the elderly, it's that emotional bond you're making with everybody that eventually a lot of us will take some of that home with us. It's the interconnectivity at the work office. There's going to be some people you might not feel comfortable working with all the time. Everybody may have that one person in the office who is happy-go-lucky 24/7. There are times when you're just having, pardon my language, but you're having a crap day, and that's okay. You should be able to feel all of your emotions, and they are legit. They are supposed to be felt. That's why they're your emotions. Blocking that off or trying to be you got to be happy all the time isn't helping any of us. So why is it important to maintain a good work-life balance? Simply put, those work-life balance initiatives are any benefits, policies, or programs that help create a better balance between the demands of the job and the healthy management and enjoyment of work outside. Make sense? Yes, I see. Carol, you're the only photo I can see and you're nodding, so I feel like you understand where I'm coming from. So work-life initiatives that can potentially deal with a wide range of issues, including disconnected from work, on-site childcare, emergency childcare assistance, seasonal childcare programs, such as for March break or the holidays, or if we happen to be in Newfoundland when we're buried by 50 feet of snow, flexible working arrangements, care-friendly initiatives, including assistance to the child, relative, close friend, or partner who needs help because of a physical, mental, or cognitive condition. So anything that the workplace is doing or that can really help with balancing all of the things going on in your life right now. So for example, in my position, I work from home 2 days a week because that gives me time to help out my partner if she's struggling those days. I can take that extra little bit of time if she needs a hand with anything, and then doesn't interfere with my work. I still get my work done because I get to work from home those days. But if she needs me for anything, I'm here for that as well. So when I'm at the office, I don't have those stresses because I knew, oh, that was done yesterday. That was already taken care of. Meal prep was potentially done ahead of time, and I've got time to get all of that done without feeling rushed or that I've got too many deadlines to meet. Make sense? There's also other like referral to care services programs for local organizations, parental or family leave, other leaves of absences such as policies, educational volunteers, community service, sabbaticals, employment insurance programs. Some have those on-site seminars and workshops, such as how to deal with stress, nutrition, smoking, communications. All of these things benefit not only your employees, but the company as a whole. And then everybody's life is less stressful, which overall reduces burnout because, again, nobody wants to go through burnout. I speak like the Micro Machines man, so I talk a mile a minute. If anybody has issues and would like me to slow down, by all means, let Carol know because she's the only face I see in the corner of my screen right now, and I will do that for you.
I am going to ask you a question, Quinn. Do you
Shoot.
feel from your experience and what you're hearing from your clients that the workplaces are getting better with this?
A lot are, and some aren't. It literally does depend almost entirely on where those individuals are working.
Okay.
If you're already working for example, a mental health organization, I would truly hope that those policies are in place to help people deal with stress. So if you're going through either loss or financial stress, you're not a number. But there are bigger corporations out there where unfortunately some people are still looked at as a number. They're an asset to the company, but they're not viewed as a person. And those are the people that truly work under so much stress. I'm from an IT background prior to my current position, and those working in the information technology field, it's no surprise that they do not go through as much burnout as they do when you're looking at minute by minute deadlines. And if a simple mistake is made, which to error is human and it should be understand that nobody is perfect, but if one mistake is made, the company is potentially out millions, and then blame gets thrown around and it becomes a huge situation. And I've been in the middle of many of those, either a mistake that I have made or that somebody under me has made, and then it still rolls uphill. So the stresses are there. Look at COVID and the nursing staff right now and how they are mandatory overtime. And I understand why that's there because we need people to be able to look after us and help us with our health, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, or what have you. But what about those individuals? What about the nurses working 15, 20-hour double shifts? What about the doctors doing the same? Look at all the cleaning personnel when for the winter season when it boils down, because there's still people dealing with COVID and being home and sick and not able to work. So we've got skeleton crews running so many organizations out there. They're gonna burn out, but who's gonna help them when they have to go through burnout? Because now we have nobody. It's so stressful for these individuals.
Yeah, very much so. Thank you.
Nope, anytime. So achieving and maintaining good mental health is in that workplace is everyone's responsibility. So for the employees, healthy workplace starts with an investment in ourselves. We got to be aware of our personal mental health and those work-life balances. For the employer, it's having a supportive work environment, dealing with work overload, providing perceived flexibility that works for everybody. There's no good if you have a boss that doesn't understand the word no or I can't do that. Too many of us are yes people. Oh yeah, I can do that. Oh yeah, I can do that. And then not only are we doing our day-to-day tasks, but we've got a stack of tasks that we're doing off the corner of our desk. Are those tasks really getting our full commitment? That's what we kind of got to look at there. Would you rather have an employee give you 10 amazing projects or 20 that are eh? Sharon, I see your hand up, by all means.
Yeah, Quinn, I was going to also say when you were talking about the overburden and the healthcare workers, even the people who are providing services such as, meditation and yoga and things like that, we experience the same kind of thing, we are doing this work and providing this service, and it is taking its toll on everybody. So we all have to, in all of those professions, all those health and wellness professions, we really have to take care of ourselves to, do those good things that you're talking about.
100%. Like, I have gone to my boss and said, Jade, I need a day off or whatnot, whether it be paid day off, use flex time, use vacation time, whatever. Is like, I need a day. Usually after the month of June, because if anyone who knows me, Pride Month, I give 200% every day. That's kind of my thing. And I give a lot of myself regardless of what month it is. But that month specifically, I'm involved in so many other activities outside of the normal work activities that you're looking at 14-hour days sometimes or more, plus you're planning events and organizing this one and trying to make sure everything runs smoothly. I always take my vacation, usually shortly after the month of June, because I need that downtime. I'm no good to Jade if I don't look after myself. Like anybody, whether you're a entrepreneur and you are a owner and operator of your own business, you can't help other people if you're struggling right now. You can only pour from that empty cup for so long, and then you've got nothing to give. And then what happens? Then you're burnt out. Then you're looking at everything as basically like you're a scald cat. Like you just don't have the energy anymore to do things. And that's going to take such a burden on your life, both emotionally, physically, mentally exhausting, which is why we're having these sessions today. So again, what is burnout? It is that emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress, and it can happen in any occupation. I find it funny when some people actually say that, well, a comedian can't have burnout. I'm like, well, a comedian has to come up with new material. They're in front of hundreds of people almost every night. They're traveling all over the place, so they might not get to see their family. And if they don't come up with the new material, they're not going to get signed for these new comedy shows. There's a lot of stress that goes with that. Look at, say, a rodeo clown. Well, that can't be, they might not get burnout. Well, they're trying not to get gored by a bull while dressed in a clown costume that makes them 3 times their own size. There's a lot of stress that can go with that. They got to be able to try to make people laugh. And as somebody who's a frontline worker, whether you're a rodeo clown or a mental health professional, when you're on, you're on. You're in front of people. It's just like being in front of a camera. That is where you smile for the camera and you're trying to, even you could be having the worst day ever, but you're really trying to be there for the people you're trying to help. And that takes a toll on people. So it can really affect anybody. So some of the symptoms of burnout: feeling drained, tired most of the time. You might have backaches, headaches, loss of appetite, disrupted or inability to sleep, withdrawn from others, difficulty getting tasks done, feeling overwhelmed, helpless, hopeless, just resentful towards work or whatever it is you do for work. I know many, I come from a very heavy gaming background. And by that, I mean like people who are on Twitch, which is like a gaming platform. And monthly, people take week-long breaks or a hiatus from their streaming. And you would think playing video games might not be that stressful. but you're creating content for people to watch. You're trying to be funny, or you're trying to be interactive, and you're trying to do all this. And you're going to burn yourself out after a while. People need to learn to take that time for themselves. It can lead to anxiety, depression, and many, many other things. So the prevalence of stress. So nearly 30% of Canadians are feeling more work-related stress now more than ever. And that's according to the 2010 Desjardins Financial Security National Health Survey. So the top stressors include insufficient salary, 30%, work overload, 27%, lack of recognition, 22%, negative work environment, 22%. Only 14% named work-life imbalances as that main source of stress. A lot of us, especially when it comes to nonprofits, you don't work nonprofit to be rich. Like that is just unfortunately how that goes. None of us have a Bugatti Veyron in the driveway, and if you do have one in Newfoundland, I'm kind of chuckling at you because you can't drive it anywhere, especially with our roads lately. But it's there. We try to make ends meet, and a lot of us are just scraping the minimum. The work overload, as I mentioned before, we're dealing with our normal day to day. I could go in the office after this today and I could have 6 calls of people who are in crisis. I shouldn't take that home with me at the end of the day, but I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm the type of person that will, oh God, I hope they're okay. Did I give them the right information? I'll be checking in with them from time to time throughout the next couple of days, because we pour so much of ourselves into what we're doing. I know, Sharon, when you give your meditation presentations and whatnot, you can see you are so pouring yourself into that. And Carol as well, when she offering these types of sessions and informational things, you can see how much of herself that she pours into her work. So of course we're going to be overloaded and overworked at times, but it's coming to understand what that point is and then taking that step back. And it's not easy for a lot of people, especially if you're the only earner for a family home. So say if you're looking after somebody, or maybe it's just you and your cat, but your cat's got to get fed before you do. Your cat's got vet appointments and doctor's appointments and whatnot. And people really do have that immense amount of stress that a lot of people don't even look into. Lack of recognition, unfortunately, I think is something that's really common. I'm not saying that everybody should get a pat on the back and a participation trophy all the time. It's nice, but every now and then, just having someone say, you know what, you're doing good. You're doing an awesome job. Thank you for that. It takes nothing to be kind. Easiest thing to do in the world. You don't know what somebody else is going through. Pass by another person's cubicle and is like, I hope you are loved and appreciated today, and I hope you have yourself a good one. I tell that to my coworker every day when I pass by her desk. I love Lori to pieces. She's one of the sweetest humans I've ever met. And every day I was like, you are loved and appreciated. And I mean it. I don't just say it for the words. I truly mean it. And I think a lot of us, that one little act of kindness in the day, that little bit of recognition can go a long way. And when it comes for negative work environments, I'm sure we're all familiar with what those are at this point. One of the examples that I would give, which I didn't even expect, before I started with the Community Mental Health Initiative, all the staff had, I'm troubling on the words here, I'll call it compassion training for lack of a better way, because nobody may have had familiarity working with an individual of rainbow communities who was transgender before. Now, that's the only place I've ever worked with in the last 10 years that's ever done something like that. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. But I knew then that I was coming into a very safe place to work. So there was no negative work environments there. You're not being ridiculed or downplayed or whatever. You're working with a group of positive people just looking to make change. So 25% of employees view their job as the number one stressor in their life. That's from Northwestern National Life. 3/4 of the employee believe the worker has more on the job stress than a generation ago. And I 100% believe that, because if we go back 50 years, your minimum wage was supposed to be enough for one person to support a family. Now you need 3 people. The dog better have a side hustle, or it's just you're not putting food on the table. So how is one person right now supposed to be able to support anything when a can of milk is $4? Gas is $1.70. I can remember when I was younger, $100 worth of groceries was a shopping cart and a half, and it took 2 trips to get it into the house. And now you can carry it in one bag. Like, there are so much stressors there. And that stress is from everything, because you want to work to make the money, but then you don't have enough money to pay for the groceries. So then you take a second job to try to make ends meet. But now you're working 8 hours at one job, 6 hours at the other job. When do you have any time for yourself? It's so stressful on people. So yes, that job stress is there.
I think too, Quinn, you alluded to it a little bit earlier. The years ago, you finished your job at 5 p.m. and it was over for that till 8 or 9 a.m. the next day. Now with technology, with flexible time, with there is no normal workday anymore. And I know for me as a home-based business, that's something I try to respect. At 4:30, I try to turn off the computer and walk away. Um, Sometimes I do great. I go then out and spend the evening with my family and life's good. Other times it's like, oh, I just got to get back in and answer that email, or I just got to get in and do that thing because there's a client on the other end of that. And I'm a business owner and I need to do that. And so I think we've lost that typical 9 to 5. And I see this in younger people. When I was bullied in school, it finished at 3 p.m. and I wasn't bullied till the next day. Now it's 24 hours of social media and contact and all of that. So I think that also adds to not just the financial worry, but I think it's hard to turn it off. There's not those clearly defined boundaries like there used to be.
100%, 100%. I would say though, like on the positive side of things, participants are making changes to manage the pressure they're including from their personal life from perfection, because nobody's perfect. They're trying to adopt new work styles and becoming more realistic about meeting urgent deadlines. So they're really trying to figure out, what can I do now? Do that. Okay, that's done. Next. That's done. Next. And they're not trying to deal with 10 different projects at the same time. It's because you can't put all of your energy into 5 projects at the same time. You're going to burn out. It's going to happen. And it's going to happen to every single one of us, regardless of who you are, what pay cycle you're on, how much you're making, where you're living. I don't care if you are the Prince of Sheba. I'm guaranteeing you the man has stress. It's ingrained. Everybody is worried about something, but we really need to learn how to just breathe. What can I do right now? And then move from that. Come on, slide, do your thing. There we go. So what is the stress then? So stress is what we feel we have to respond to a demand of our energy. So that is your stressor, whether it's meeting a deadline or if it's writing an exam or preparing for a party. It takes a lot to make this look cute, folks. Okay, I need time for that. So positive stress and negative stress. So some positive stress can help you concentrate and focus. So many people do, in fact, do their best work under pressure. I'm one of those people because I'm an information junkie and I like being able to pull and put everything together. But if you're already stressed out and something throws a monkey wrench into those plans, your world just fell apart. So now you got to figure out, okay, I need to reground. I need to reevaluate, take that one thing, do that, move on. But when we're doing so many things and one thing goes wrong, it's a snowball effect. And it's so hard on people. Negative stress can become constant and ongoing cycle. So your health and relationships with friends and family can become affected. You feel emotionally and physically exhausted. So anecdotally, back when I was doing IT, I was the IT manager for an international telecommunications company, and I did that for about 10 years. So I was managing sites in Stephenville, Grand Falls, Carbonear, Marystown, 4 sites in India and 2 in Montreal. Just me. I never got to take vacation. I was on vacation and got called back, had to pay off hotels and whatnot from my vacation because something went wrong. I needed to go back to the office. That should have never happened. If you're on vacation, that is your time away from everything that's going on. You shouldn't be able to be called back from that. Because we had sites in other countries, my normal day was 8:30 to 5:30. But now it's daytime in India. So now I'm getting calls at 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning. I'm on the phone with them till 5 or 6. I get another hour's sleep, get up, go back to work under my clock. Now I'm back to my 8:30 to 5:30 again. When is your downtime? I had friends legitimately worried about me because when they seen me, I looked like I was exhausted or strung out because I may have gotten 2 hours sleep every night for the last 3 weeks because I'm dealing with programs and issues in India and Montreal and the other sites, plus looking after the main site in Stephenville at the same time. Nobody could keep that going. And it didn't. I broke down. I ended up having to take a month off. I was completely and utterly burnt out. I wasn't sleeping properly. I wasn't eating properly. I definitely wasn't my mental health was completely gone at that point because I was so strung out that anytime the phone rang, I would jump physically because you just don't know what else just went wrong. Nobody needs to know or experience that in their life, and I truly hope that none of you ever do. Learn to say no when it comes to things. You got to know your worth too. Because like you can't have people saying, well, you know, I could do this or you could do this. I'm like, okay, well then find that person to do it. Know your worth. Know what you are capable of doing and know yourself to know that I'm being paid such and such amount of money to do this task and I'm doing that task amazingly well. Don't have people be able to tell you that you're not when you know different. Have that confidence in yourself. And that will help you deal with those stresses because you will feel more confident, chest up, shoulders back. Is like, no, that's not going to happen. I have these projects that I'm working on right now. That can wait. If it can't, then you got to let one of the other projects know that something came up that's of emergency that needs my attention right now. This will need to be back burner temporarily. You got to find those balances. So some of the signs of stress, and I'm pretty sure some of us here says, oh, I have those. Muscle tension, teeth grinding, accidents that happen because you're not paying attention enough, headaches, restless sleeps. Some other signs, the emotional signs of stress, irritability, anxiety, depression, mood swings. Social signs, you could lash out, cynicism of others, social withdrawal, intolerance of others, and avoiding social activities. All of these can be signs of stress. Now, any one of them may not be, but when you see a lot of them coming together, you know those are the signs. Some mental signs of stress can be poor concentration, racing thoughts, low productivity, and your lack of fulfillment. A lot of us go through this in silence because we don't want to talk about our feelings either, which is not helping. You need to be able to talk about what's bothering you. Even if someone's just being a sounding board. I had a friend of mine 2 days ago that was having an absolutely horrible day. We both signed on to the game. We both jumped in voice chat and they went full verbal vomit for like 2 hours. And just what was going on in their life, what was bothering them. And at the end of it, you could literally hear, because they got it off their chest. Somebody they knew, someone they trusted, listened. You don't have to say anything to the other person. You just need to listen. Doesn't take a lot. It takes nothing to be kind. I'm going to reiterate that as many times as I can because it can solve so many things. So there are the of stress management and self-care. So you got your AAAs. You can alter it, you can avoid it, or you can accept it. So for altering it, you can remove the source of the stress by changing something. Time management, assertive behavior, direct communication, planning, organizing, or modifying that demand. Time management, I'm going to put 2 hours into this project today. No more, no less. 2 hours. Assertive behavior. Unfortunately, I don't think I can do that based on the time constraints. We need direct communication, falls underneath that as well. Being able to be assertive with yourself and direct, knowing what you can and what you can't do. Planning, organizing, and modifying to demands. Well, I need this done by 6 o'clock. Not possible, but I could potentially get it done by 5 if given this, this, and this. Go back and forth, find that solution. It still gets done. Everybody's happy. Make sense? None of this is hard. I don't think. It's just how you look at things.
It makes sense, Quinn. It is hard though. It's hard to change behavior. It's hard to
Behaviors are such a thing that you get stuck in your rut of doing things a certain way. And sometimes it takes us falling before we can realize that we got to get up and walk a different way.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I think sometimes shining that light on of what we're actually doing is the hardest part. You know, we're coping, we're getting through, and then when we got that light shining in our face saying, hey, but you're not really doing it well because you're showing signs of burnout, that sometimes is the hardest step, right?
A lot of people don't want to accept burnout because I find they feel like it can't happen to them. Or if you're like me, it's like I always think that somebody else has it worse than me. So I'm like, well, my problems aren't that bad because such and such a person down the street has this going on. But it's not a leveling system either, you know? Like my traumas, my stresses are mine. They're different from yours. They're different from Sharon's. We all have things in our life that are putting stress on us in some way, shape, or form. But when we start comparing it to other people's, it takes away the fact that we're still going through that.
And like I said earlier, sometimes changing the thought patterns. I mean, those of us of an age, stress leave was frowned upon.
Oh
When we
gosh,
were
yes.
in our early days of workforce, that was, you were weak, you were unethical, you were unprofessional. Now stress leave is celebrated because people are appreciative that people recognize they're at that level and they need the help, and they're taking steps to do it. So shifting that thinking is very, very difficult when you've been raised in that kind of, I guess, discussion, and you haven't had the other side of the discussion. So I
It's
think sometimes that's
definitely
hard too.
it's definitely going to take time, and none of this is going to change overnight. Like the stats aren't going to be drastically better next year unless we all find out that we can, live comfortably and not have to be stressed out all the time. But it is changing and it is getting better. And you have employers who are themselves aware of burnout and knowing to not push too much emphasis on their employees for completing tasks or something at unexpected timelines. And they're really starting to understand that we're people first, employees second, or we are people first and community people second. We're all human. We all have our limits, and those limits got to be respected, not shunned to or whatever. Look at all the men in the world who were always told, "Up, suck it up," or boys don't cry. It's like, honey, we all cry. Get over that. Like, it's as much as like, how are we to make it so that an individual's traumas and struggles are so tossed aside because what? Because you don't feel that way? It's puts so much extra pressure on an individual, and it takes away from what they're going through right now. It's sad. It really is. But luckily in 2023, there are a lot of groups out there that are making these changes. People like everyone here today coming together to hear me, hear my lips flap for an hour or so and hopefully take something positive from it. You're here because you're going to hopefully learn something that you can take back to your own life and then maybe make somebody else's life, if not your own, better. That's all we can ask for. So you can avoid it by removing yourself from the stressful situation or by not getting there at all. Walk away, let go, just say no sometimes, learn to delegate, set your boundaries, and be aware of your limits. I struggle with being aware of my limits and my boundaries because I'll always take work projects home and do them from home. I need to leave that at the door. Come when my day is done, I come home. I shouldn't be working on projects. Now, there are times when there are going to be big events coming up that, yes, I will take a project home to put some extra hours and fine tuning on it because I want my event to go off well. Carol, I'm sure you do the same yourself. Every now and then is not a big deal. Still shouldn't be doing it, but we understand why we do it because we're very passionate about what we do. But we take that time, we got to learn to take that time to ourselves too and set the boundaries little bit by little bit, and we will get there. So we can accept the stress. So building resistances to it, proper sleep and diet, more than 3 hours sleep a night, beneficial. Regular exercise, relaxation techniques, clear about the values and priorities, relationship building, faith. And I do not mean by the all powers that be, but faith in yourself that, you know, you can get through this. You can do this. You are a strong, dedicated human, and whatever you put your mind to, you will succeed. Changing the way you perceive the stressor or yourself. So changing unrealistic expectations. Way too many people out there have unrealistic expectations. For example, I'll use a rainbow communities analogy. So when I started my transitional journey, you always look at other women or other trans women as like, I would love to look like that. I'm built like the rest of the women in my family. I'm basically Zena's cousin. I'm built like a lumberjack and a linebacker, and that is how it is. My grandmother and almost all the other women in my family could, you know, they look like Batista when they're out in the woods. We're all built broad. That is just how it is. So I really had to change the unrealistic expectations of I am not going to be the next Beyonce. You have to come to those realizations. Are they easy? Heck no. Not everybody can just do that right away. It takes time. It takes learning yourself. Humor. Anybody who knows me know I use humor for everything. I've been using it since this presentation started. That is how I deal with so many things. It helps me process, keeps me in good spirits. And if I'm in good spirits, I'll have that positive attitude on a positive outcome. Make sense? Again, I only see Carol's head nodding, so I'll assume you're all on board. So the current trends, even before the pandemic, estimated that 1 in 6 working age adults experienced some type of mental health concern. 1 in 6. So insurance companies recognize that the increased patterns of mental health related claims. Some people are leaving the workforce permanently as a result of depression and anxiety. More than a third of disability claims under Canadian employer-sponsored benefits plans in 2022 were due to mental health reasons. 1 in 5 Canadians are experiencing symptoms of depression, anxiety, or post-traumatic stress disorder. 68% who reported a mental health issue reported that their mental health has worsened since the pandemic. 30% of disability claims are related to mental health illnesses. HR professionals have an important role to play in safeguarding the employees and addressing those mental health concerns. Currently, only 23% of Canadians feel comfortable even approaching their employer with mental health concerns, so we know there's still room to do better. And all of this information was from the World Health Organization. Self-awareness. So awareness of personal health, mental health, and work-life balance are 2 important themes for taking action. So I'm going to be sending some documents to Carol, and she can pass this on to you guys all after this. I have it in digital format. So there is a mental health meter, which is a simple little questionnaire. There's your work-life balance index, which you'll be able to view as well. There's your stress index. And for those of you who are not familiar, there is Check It Out NL. I would click the link, but then everything's going to break because it has every time I've clicked on it, and I haven't figured out how to fix it yet. But Check It Out NL is Western Health is promoting their online screening program to provide fast and anonymous online screening mental health and substance use issues. It's important to note that it's not a medical diagnosis, but it'll give you some basis to look for things. So just check it out, NL. The screening is completely confidential, and participants will be able to quickly see the results, recommendations, and key resources immediately following a brief little questionnaire. So the mental health is a key part of your overall health. We hope that the screening program provides an opportunity to get people thinking about mental health as being a part of their overall health and well-being. Just as you would get a checkup for your physical health, it's important to get a checkup from your mental health. And that's an excerpt from the Check It Out NL website. I also forget things, so for the love of God, Carol, let me know that I'm supposed to send you stuff. So what can you do at home? Balance now. Believe you can do it. Ask what you want and need. Live healthy. Action plans for life. No thanks, but I appreciate it. Create time for your daily indulgences. Everyday time out. Take your break, man. Don't let things build up. Just go, time for a Timbit, and go to Tim's, or go for your walk, or play with something on your desk and fidget. Whatever you need to do to be. I've got about a dozen different things on my desk here. I've got a cabinet here full of everything from Game Boy Advance to 3DS. And there are times when, you know what, I need 15 minutes. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to play Mario Brothers. I'm just going to unwind. I'm going to clear my head, especially if I'm at a bottleneck in a project or I'm trying to figure something out and the pieces just aren't falling together right. It's like, nope, time to walk away from it. And then when you come back, fresh light. This is for home. This is for work. This is for personal life. And you got to make sure what makes me happy. So you make a list. What makes you happy? Find your balance now. So some more tips for staying in balance at home. So you create a buffer between your work and home. A lot of us really struggle with that one. Decide what chores can be shared or let go. So kind of delegate. Yes, delegate. New word. I'm great today. Delegate how those chores are going to be done. Exercise and make your healthy food choices. With today's economy, that can be incredibly difficult to do, but we try our best. Create and implement a household budget. I do that every month. And pursue a hobby, something new. So to create a buffer, after work, take a walk, do a crossword puzzle, listen to some music, begin the evening routine. For deciding what chores to do, determine which ones are critical and what can be done by somebody else or just let go altogether. Exercise is self-explanatory. For create and implement a household budget, start setting aside some money if you can from each check to plan for that future thing. You never know what's going to happen. You never know when your brake pads are going to fail. You never know when you're going to need an unexpected oil change, or like what happened to me 3 weeks ago when someone ran me off the road. So now my vehicle is in the impound. You never know when these things are going to happen. So try to have something put aside for that. Did I? Nope, but I should have. Got to try to do what we can, folks. And for the pursuit of a hobby, that could be anything. I would say avoid using alcohol and cannabis and other drugs to relax and cope with stress issues. I know a lot of us do. Doesn't help. It might seem like it's helping in the moment, but then it's going to become something you're going to rely on all the time, and that's not helping you in the long run. So what can I do at work? You can be as positive as you can without falling under toxic positivity. I'd like to make that caveat. You kind of act with integrity as always. Let bygones be bygones. Jade and I have disagreed on many things, but at the end of the day, we're still work colleagues. I respect her. She respects me. We go our ways. That's how it works. Ask for that flexibility that works for you. So for me, I work from home 2 days a week. Instead of getting off at 4:30, because I always work through my lunches, I'm a person that'll eat while I'm working. I'm sure a lot of us are like that at this point. So I don't take a lunch break. I leave at 3:30 every day instead of 4:30. Simple. But that one little thing means I get an extra hour at home. So when I come home, I got time to do the driveway if we're buried because we live in Newfoundland and there's 50 feet of snow on a Tuesday. Or I get to spend some more time with Carla if she needs something. Nip that negative thinking in the butt as much as you can and realize that how we see things may not be how somebody else see things. So if you're looking at something and it's really not working, ask one of your coworkers to take a peek at it. I ask Lori all the time. It's like, does this make sense to you? Like, I'm dyslexic, so I will get words confused all the time. Lori knows this, and we poke fun at each other all the time. I'm like, Lori, this doesn't look right. She's like, yes, Quinn, because there's only one O in work. I'm like, oh, that's probably it. But I don't see it. Now, again, she's poking fun at me, so we keep things positive. But she will help me go over it and look to make sure there's no spelling mistakes, or she might make a suggestion. For example, this slide, case in point, the photo in the background is of Corner Brook. And I must have gone through about 10 different photos until I found one that I thought really looked decent for this presentation. Lori helped me with that because I was just like, I don't know, help me pick one. And we did. And that made things so much easier. Compromise, 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 compromise. Find those compromises that you can do. Energy breaks work. So you're in a program, you're in a project, and you're doing your thing. Even now, folks, if you are sitting in your chair and you can hear me, get up, do your stretch, move around, do a shuffle, whatever it is, keep your energy going. Because if we're stagnant and sitting down for so long, when you actually do go to move, you'll be like, it's just not going to work. You got to move. Your blood's got to pump, and if it ain't pumping, you got to help it. I see Carol laughing at me, so I'm doing okay today. Negotiate with your employer. Talk to them. They are people just like you. And I would hope and pray that they have an understanding to know that this is what you can do, and knowing what you can't. And if they're making or coming up with something that you know can't be done, you should feel comfortable in telling them that and negotiate how that can play out. Organize your work to suit your style. Chaos is my style. If you've seen how things, but organized chaos. My email, my files, everything is alphabetized, organized by date, time, when it was received, everything. Because if I ever go looking for something, I got that in March. It was probably around the 23rd. I know it was in the morning. I can put a filter in and it shows me everything that I got in March on the 23rd in the morning. So much easier to find what I'm looking for. Now, I'm a tech junkie, so that's why organization kind of comes easier to me. When you have work overload, say so before that deadline time. If you are given 2 months for a project and you're looking at it as like, I know I can't complete that in time, be able to go back and tell whoever it is gave you that project, look, I need a little bit more time. It cannot be done in this timeline. That's when you can negotiate. But what if we remove this part, and could we make it fit? So maybe instead of the 3 guest speakers, you only get 2. You negotiate that time. You work, okay, now it'll fit the deadline because now we don't need to arrange travel for that 3rd person. Some other tips again, so schedule brief breaks for yourself throughout the day. At the end of the day, set your priorities for the following day. I always have a to-do list in my Google Keep of what I need to do the next day if I have tasks that day. Only respond to an email once or twice a day. I am so guilty of not doing that. I will respond to emails as soon as I get them because I almost like I internally panic that people are not getting the information in time. But that's on me. That's not the other person. I really should only be checking it probably 11 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, and that's it. Unless it's a very important email and you can kind of tell. Anytime I send an email, if it needs something right away, I'll put urgent in the subject line, or I'll put important in the subject line. So then visually I know, okay, I need to answer to this, 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 and this now. The rest can wait. So it helps you with that visual understanding for things. And make the distinction between work and the rest of your life. That is one of the hardest things for people to do. Like, protect your private time. Turn off the electronic communication. Don't be available 24/7. Go home. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Put it on your desk. Make yourself that amazing Tetley tea with the 3 sugar, 2 cream. Pet your cat and sit down and watch Yellowstone or something. Protect your personal time because you need that to just de-stress from everything that went on that day. Make sense? So some of the tips for staying in balance in your community. So you got to make those choices and you got to manage those expectations. So for the make the choices, your social, community, and volunteer obligations pull us in a billion different directions at once. Working in not-for-profits, we all know what that's like. But choose the ones that are the most fulfilling and learn to say no to the rest. I am so guilty for that, especially when it comes to Pride Month, because I want to be involved in everything because it's Pride and I love Pride. But then I'm burnt out. And then I'm no good to anybody or me. So I got to learn, okay, I'll do this, this, and this. There's a committee for a reason. Y'all can deal with the rest. Putting that time together. Manage those expectations. Be clear at the onset about how much time or support you can contribute to community organizations or for your children's school events. So if someone says, well, I need you to sit on this committee. Okay, I can give you 4 hours a week. That's what you get. If you know that that's all you can offer, that's what you offer. No is a perfectly acceptable answer. If they come back and say, well, I need more, unfortunately, I can't offer you more than 4 hours a week. They're either going to say yes or they're going to say no. And if they say no, it's still not your problem. You know your expectations. You know what you can comfortably give and not have it impact other aspects of your life. Keeping everything in that balance. So my plan for balance. What do you do or say to yourself when you're stressed? What do you do to relax when you're at home or in your spare time? What do you wish for that you might make you feel more control in your life? And what do you do to relax when you're stressed at work? So we're going to open this to you guys right now. I want each of you to give me 5 things for each of those. This shouldn't take too long, hopefully. I will do up mine as well. And then we will say what we do for ours. You can put them in the chat if you don't want to type. That's perfectly fine by me too. And while you're kind of thinking about that, this will be your time to get a drink if you need one. How are we doing for time, Carol? I don't want to go over too much.
We got about 15 minutes left.
15 minutes? I can do that. So in the respect of time, and I know everybody's time is important. Expectations. Screenshot this slide. I will send it to you guys if you don't have the time to do so, and make those 5 things for each of those. And then check
Quinn,
back with yourself.
It was asked if you can share these slides when you send the other resources.
I'm sure I can. I will need to check to make sure that, because some of the information was provided by other organizations, and I need to make sure they're okay with that being shared.
Yep, perfect. Thank you.
Not a problem. So take the time, folks, on this one and list those 5 things for yourself. And again, in respect for time, we will move on.
Yep.
So what can you do to strike that balance? Stop. If something is wrong, figure out what that is. Do things that bring you joy and enrich your life. Be open to change. Plan. Take time for the people who care about you. Develop your own stress reduction program. Try to keep a positive attitude. Remember, good and bad things happen to everybody. Keep moving. Balance is a process. It's going to take time. It's going to be serious in how you look at it, and it's not going to be easy. But this is not always going to be easy. There's going to be times where it's going to be a little bit difficult. But that falls us under self-care. So that's kind of a hot topic when it comes to balancing responsibility, work, and family, because a lot of us, like, I don't have time for self-care. You need self-care, folks. Run that bubble bath, play that Marvin Gaye, chill out in that tub, whatever it is you need to do, find your self-care. For me, it's video games. I play video games every single evening. I come home, I ask my wife what she needs. If she doesn't need anything, I sit down and I play video games for a couple hours, make supper, whatever I need to do. That is my de-stress. And it works for me. So that self-care is fulfilling activities or quiet moments that allow individuals to rejuvenate their energies and regain their joy for life. Make sense? Laughter is the absolute best medicine as far as I'm concerned. I like to be a joker and make people laugh. It's a tranquilizer with no side effects. Anyone who reads the old Reader's Digest, there is actually a thing called Laughter is the Best Medicine. It is the best. There's also Humor in Uniform. I would highly recommend reading that one as well. They are phenomenal. But again, find a comedy show, toss it on. Let the laughter, I mean, I want your sides and stomach to hurt from laughing so much. And I guarantee you it will help lower your stress levels down. Some other relaxation techniques be deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, positive self-talk, forgiving, and moving on. And again, I'll be including some of the activities you guys can do at home in the files that I send out to everybody. Make a joy list. It's another file that I'll be sending along. 20 simple things that bring you joy. Candlelight dinner, bubble bath, read the newspaper, enjoy a cup of tea. I love my cup of tea. If anyone knows me, I have a cup of tea with breakfast. I have a cup of tea before I leave the house. I have another cup of tea when I get to the office. I may be a little bit of a caffeine addict when it comes to tea. I don't care. I will have 3 or 4 tea throughout the day, another one at supper, another one after supper, probably one before I go to bed. I have like stocks in Tetley at this point. But that is my comfort thing. Whether it be decaf or whatnot, I sit down and I enjoy my cup of tea. It could be 50 degrees outside. I want my cup of tea. And that is how it's a way of de-stressing. Volunteering, gardening, what else you need to do, but make your joy list. And that's another sheet, again, that will be sent along. And at least 5 things every day. Take from that list and do those 5 things. If you can only do one, do one. Give the gift of joy. Smile more. Be nice to people. Hey, how's it going, boy? I talk to everybody when I'm uptown, and some people look at me like I got 6 heads, but they smile when they walk away. It doesn't matter who it is. Clip cartoons and post them to your friends. Make at least one person laugh once a day. Again, at the end of the day, it takes nothing to be kind. I'm hoping some of you were smiling during this presentation, because then I'll be considering myself lucky. I see Carol smiling over there, so I'm doing something right. Experience the joy in everyday life. Eat outside. Take a walk in the fresh air when it's not minus 20. Pick up your children. Put them back down safely, obviously. There's no better time to be happy than right now. And then dance like there's nobody watching. For anyone who's ever done Zumba, my old Zumba instructor used to say, fake it till you make it. Dance, put on some music while you're doing the dishes or the house chores, shuffle around the floor, do the newfie stomp, whatever floats your boat. Have fun, move, get that energy moving, get that blood flowing. Don't allow your body language to show how you're feeling. Fake it till you make it. Cannot put that any better. If you have ever seen me when I first started doing Zumba, I had 6 legs, 4 left feet, and looked like I was standing on my head. I had 0 coordination. It's gotten better. I still look like a spastic monkey, but that's okay. I enjoy it, and it's a good laugh. And if people get a laugh out of watching me dance, then that's even more people laughing. There's more people enjoying those few moments of the day. So think joyfully, think positive, challenge those negative generalizations, prove to yourself that the negative talk is wrong. Practice that positive self-talk. 75% of daily conversation is nothing but negative talk. How many of you are social media junkies? You're looking at the TikToks and the Facebook and the Instagram and the Snapchats, and there's talk about whatever's going down in Texas and Tennessee, and we've got the potential 3rd war going on, and the Canada government's doing this, that, and the other thing. Is like, bias. Can we show something positive in the news, please? Something positive. There's so much negative in the world that we sometimes miss out on the good things. Your neighbor might have some of the best stories ever to tell about their childhood. Ask them over for a cup of tea. Carol, I'm sure you have some amazing stories that you could tell us from when you were growing up. Sharon, I'm sure you got some as well. Talk, I get the negative is going to be there, but try to have those positive ones too. So we're not always thinking about the negative, because if we start thinking about the negative, that negative is going to overflow the rest of our life. Take that time for yourself. Again, Turn off the computer, the cell phone, the other distractions, read a book, listen to music, play a game, go for a walk, write in your journal, take up a relaxing hobby, yoga. Shameless plug for, Sharon and all them in here. Visit a friend or a family member just to talk and have a laugh. Eat a healthy meal and snack, get some fresh air, exercise. And I don't mean run a triathlon, folks. I would break my back if I tried that. Just go sit on your step, get some air, walk down to the store instead of taking the car when you get to pick up your snacks or whatnot. But take care of you first. You cannot pour from that empty cup. Got to take care of you. So these are some for building positive relationships at work. So supportive relationships at the workplace are the most important for good mental health. Your workplace can provide you with positive networks. And it says I got 5 minutes left, so I might not get through all these slides, and I apologize for that. So listen to the concerns of your coworkers, share a laugh with them to help reduce that stress. It's going to bring a satisfaction and security into your personal and your professional life. Some sort of supportive relationships. You don't have to do everything alone. Make a list of people that could help you. Who is your support network for your family, your friends, your coworkers? Where would you go to seek help? Employee wellness, mental health and addiction services, doorways, bridge the gap, all amazing resources that are there for anyone to use. Doorways doesn't have a wait list anymore. You can just drop in or call your local MHA office Monday to Friday for support. Bridge the Gap has all kinds of e-mental health programs and resources along with a service directory. So if you're looking for something specifically, it's there. So for workplace recommendations, if you're the employer, connect some anonymous feedback from your staff regarding workplace stresses. Reorganize coworkers for their efforts or recognize coworkers for their efforts and their success. Create opportunities for the staff to have fun together. The staff at CMHI did laser tag a couple of weeks back. We had an absolute time. Only took about an hour and a half. We all met up, went out, shot each other, had a good time. Of course, I took Jade out first. Had to be done. Ensure that flexibility in the workplace. Employees need to feel a sense of control. So here are some important contact numbers I thought would be of great use. You've got the NL Health line, Kids Help Phone, Crisis Text line, the Hope for Wellness line, LifeWise NL, MHA Systems Navigator, your Provincial Emergency Shelter line, the Willow House Crisis line, First Nations and Inuit Hope for Wellness Helpline, the Gambling Helpline, and for my Rainbow Community Brethren, you got the 2S LGBTQIA plus warm line. Some great information there. And that's all I got, folks. I thank you for coming in here today. If you have any questions, by all means, let me know. Email, because I know I've taken up way too much of your time at this point. But I do hope that you got something good out of this today. And if you got one positive thing, then that'd be enough for me.
Fantastic, Quinn. Thank you. There's only a few folks left, but we are still recording, so people will still be able to see this, those that had to leave or anyway that couldn't join us. But before I close off today, for those that are still on the call, any questions or comments specifically for Quinn?
Oh, now you're all quiet. I see how this is.
Lots of comments in chat there, Quinn. Folks are really appreciative of it. Carm has given her email there. I'll send it to you as well. If you reach out to her, she'll connect you with that wellness day that's happening in Deer Lake.
Perfect.
I think in some cases you preached a little bit to the choir. I think a lot of us on here are believers in all of this for sure, which is why the folks have joined. However, as you mentioned, I think there's always a snippet in here. There's a good refresher. There's a reminder sometimes that we all need to hear. So I want to thank you for that. Sharon, to you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, Quinn, that was a fabulous presentation. I'm always so proud to be in your presence. When I see you, when I'm out, I'm gravitated towards you. So thank you for this today. I did learn lots and keep great work.
I appreciate it. Thank you much.
Excellent. Thank you. So our next community. Sorry, go ahead, Quinn.
I was just even for those like who may have heard all this information before, I think even for myself, this is a reminder to me that I need to be doing more of these things in my own life too. Because a lot of the times we give so much of ourselves to trying to help other people that we forget that we need help too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that is something that's incredibly important.
I teach self-care workshops, and every now and then I'm the one that's got the teeth grinding and this muscle spasms going like, okay, I can teach this stuff, but I better turn the light on me, right? So it's always a good reminder. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you to everyone for joining today and giving us your time. Thank you, Richard and ladies up in the Great Northern Peninsula. Nice to see your faces and waving. So our next Community Connections, May 16th. I don't really have anything lined up at this point as far as topics. So if there is something that you're interested in seeing or wish to hear a little bit more on, please let me know, and I'll certainly arrange to have somebody in. And I do think I have it up on my website, but in my next newsletter, I'll have the link to register for that as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Again, I really enjoy the community connection. I think it's great work that's being done in community. Folks like Richard and the ladies up north are here to support us in our endeavors in our workplaces. I know I'm a chairperson of a committee that we're just now newly incorporated as a not-for-profit. It's opening up my whole world of being able to access support. So that's exciting, but overwhelming at the same time. And thank you, Quinn, once again for giving us your time and fabulous presentation. So thanks, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Happy Monday, folks. Take care.